Adrenaline, speed, a leap into the void, and a silver and blue can, Red Bull is not just a drink, it's a fuel for extreme culture. They have transformed sports marketing. But how did a simple can of taurine become the undisputed brand that not only sponsors but owns global adrenaline? To understand it, we must go back to the beginning. Our story begins in 1882, thousands of miles from Austria, in Thailand. There, entrepreneur Dietrich Mateschitz discovered a local beverage called Krating Deng, which literally means Red Bull or Redgar. This formula was popular among truck drivers and workers who need to stay awake during long shifts. Mateschitz saw the opportunity to bring that energy to the West. He partnered with Crafting Deng's creator Shalio Jubita, modified the recipe for European tastes, changed the packaging, and in 1987 Red Bull was born. When it launched, Red Bull faced a massive challenge. The energy drink market simply didn't exist. It was an old product with an unknown taste and a high price point. Traditional advertising with boring commercials was not going to work. They needed a disruptive strategy. Their target audience was urban youth, students, and professionals looking for a boost. To connect with them, Matisich decided not to sell the drink, but the concept behind it performance, risk, and boundary pushing. And what sport better embodied risk and pushing limits than extreme sports? By aligning with unconventional disciplines like of speed, snowboarding, or jump pace, Red Bull avoid the saturation of mainstream sports. They positioned themselves in a niche that was both untapped and daring. They quickly moved from being a simple sponsor to being content creators. They found Red Bull Media House to film, produce, and narrate epic feats. The dream became the muse and the fuel that give you wings. To achieve the impossible, validating their slogan in a powerful visual and undeniable way. This adrenaline fueled strategy gave them the credibility to expand into massive elite sports, acquiring Formula One and football teams. They provided their experience wasn't limited to a cliff, but to any competition that demands maximum performance. From a Taycan for workers to a global media empire, the Red Bull story is a masterclass in how bold marketing can redefine the brand.
Red Bull figured out something brilliant emotion sells. Instead of just marketing a drink, they built an entire world around excitement, risk, and storytelling. They sponsor over 5,000 athletes across more than 100 sports. For example, we can forget the legendary Red Bull Stratus jump in 2012 when Felix Vandergarden literally jumped from the edge of the space, breaking the sound barrier while over 8 million people watched the live, a world record on one YouTube most watched stream ever. In other case, the famous Formula One team Oracle Red Bull Racing has become a powerhouse with Max Verstappen. And in other sides, in soccer, Red Bull owns multiple teams. Red Bull Leipzig in Germany, Red Bull Salzburg in Austria, New York Red Bulls in USA, and Red Bull Bragantino in Brazil. And in other sides, Red Bull isn't just about speed, danger, or breaking records. Sometimes it's just about flying a giant taco into a lake. Welcome to Red Bull Fulgantai, the competition where people build their own flying machines. Yes, this is so funny, but it's perfectly because Red Bull is about energy, imagination, and not taking yourself too seriously. And maybe this is the case of success of Red Bull, because there are more than a drink, there are more than the sports, and more than energy, there is a community. So take a Red Bull and Red Bull give you wings. Red Bull figure out something brilliant.
Why does Red Bull invest so much in sports, athletes, and extreme events? Because Red Bull isn't just selling a drink, it's selling a lifestyle. The brand realized early on that people don't connect with products, they connect with experiences. So instead of traditional advertising, Red Bull creates content, emotion, and communities. Every event, every race, every jump tells you a story of courage, energy, and passion. Through its athletes and its media, the brand inspires people to push their limits and live with intensity. And the strategy works. Red Bull now sells over 12 billion cans every year in more than 170 countries. But beyond numbers, what the company truly gains is influence, culture, and identity. Because Red Bull doesn't give you wings, it gives you a reason to fly.
Did you know Red Bull wasn't actually born to sell energy drinks? Crazy, right? Well, in the 80s, an Austrian entrepreneur discovered a drink called Karandijk and he adapted it for Western tastes. That's how Red Bull was actually born. The goal wasn't just to give you energy, it was to create a lifestyle. Fast forward for a couple of years, Red Bull wasn't just sponsoring athletes, it was creating its own teams and events. Formula One with Red Bull Racing, cliff diving, World Series, air races, mountain bike competitions, all designed to make extreme the new normal. So, what did they gain from all of this? Massive visibility, community loyalty, and emotional branding. When you think of adventure, risk, or performance, you think Red Bull. And that brings us to today. Red Bull isn't just a beverage company, it's a media empire and a symbol of unconventional sports culture. It sells attitude, adrenaline, and ambition. The drink is just excuse.